Okay, my name is Andrew Livingstone. I work for Edinburgh Napier University, so I lecture in structural engineering but specialise in timber design. I highlight some of the projects that we've had students work on in recent years. The first one was the Ned House. It's a high-profile project featured on Channel 4 and Possible Builds. It was manufactured out of cross-laminated timber. It was a volumetric off-site design. Again by a student, was using the same material, cross-laminated timber, and it was for the Dyson Institute Village. Again, yet another high-profile project. Your project, it's situated in Beecrace Country Park, which is within the Bathgate Hills, which is located in between Bathgate and Linlithgow. And on the site, it's a forest, it's a country park forest. There's country walks, there's a barbecue and picnic area, there's a fishing loch, there's an assault course and keep fit area. There's also caving to be explored as well, with many other things. Now, for the Summer Design Challenge, there's two sites that we're looking at. One for animal attraction area for Group 1. And further down is the mountain bike skills course area, and this is for Group 2. Now, before we go any further, let's have a conversation about the local resource, i.e. the trees, the wood. So the trees are regularly felled. The material can be taken off-site, processed, manufactured into component parts for your design solution, brought back to site and erected. So with that, let's have a look at site number 1, the animal attraction area. This was originally the site for the original visitor centre and offices. It's been cleared away since then. Currently there's no electricity or services there. They will have to be brought into the site, and obviously you'll have to have public toilets available as well. The second site is a little bit smaller than the previous one. You've got this grass area here you're able to use, and the hard standing as well. There's the public toilets already there, functioning, with the electricity as well to the site. So it's a little bit easier in that respect. Before we go any further, let's have a conversation about what we'll be giving you to play with to start with. Now, we have a list of component parts. These are created for us by Victor, who you'll no doubt meet at some point. Now, what he's done is created some SIP panels, each of which can be programmed by functionality here, or scaled to size as well, stretched and pulled accordingly. There's another SIP panel here, a different type, again with different functionality, again fully scalable. The next one is a timber frame wall, again with more functionality here that you can use, fully scalable. And you'll see if you go into the back side, you've got all the joists. I'll scale that again just to show you. And these are component parts. Another piece is a cross-laminated timber, again with limited control there. You can use that. We will give you further guidance if you choose to use cross-laminated timber on how we can manufacture that and what the limitations are. Now, those component parts can be made into various elements, for example, walls, floors, roofs. And this is just some examples of how that's been done with cladding and internal lining for you with insulation. There's a panel, timber frame, and CLT panel and a SIP panel design. And there's intermediate floors. Let's look over at the roofs now. We have two roof truss designs. One here, it's again fully scalable in all directions. And also you can change the centres of the trusses to the standard spacing of 600 or 400. Very similar functionality to this one. It's a different type of truss. Now these two trusses are more akin to what you would do in a timber frame house, but these are more for demonstration for you. And you'll see these a bit later on. And whilst we're here, you do have limitations on transport for large and heavy goods. And we do have some guidance notes here for you on what the limitations would be, depending upon the widths of your loads. Now, let's have a look at number 1. This is the animal attraction area. This model has been done in SketchUp and it's fully to scale, so the dimensions are correct. And you can indeed load this in to Revit if you desire, if you wish. It might be easier to do it all in SketchUp. And a very similar thing we have for site number 2, which is the skills course area. Now do remember you are allowed to use the area, not just the hard standing, but also the grass area as well. And the picnic tables will be removed or relocated. And the toilets are fully functioning and existing on that site. Now, let's have a conversation about how we interact with the rest of your team members. So if you have various individuals, one person working on the model for the site, so there's my site there, and another person working on parts of the building, could be the walls, could be the roof, could be various parts, and I want to visually inspect the two together, not without downloading them, but just visually inspect it on the fly. We can do that. We select the two that we want, the multiple that we want to inspect, and press View in 3D Viewer. Now I've preloaded this up. It's here. So we can move around the model. So this building here is very simple, quick building I created using those component parts. I'm sure these will do a much better design, or a much more interesting design as well. But I thought I'd show you this just to show you how you can have more than one person working on the model at one time. You have multiple people working on it. Now, if people want to work in Revit, it's absolutely fine. What you would do is you would upload your Revit model in an IFC format, and it would work just the same fashion as we do here. Now let's go back to the presentation slides. Now, these are some more examples of roof trusses that were similar to what we saw before. These are all normally used for a house design, perhaps not suitable for what you would want on your design. Well, you may well do, but it may not be your first option. But there are other types of roof trusses you can do. Here's a panelized approach. This is what you would perhaps use if you want a vaulted ceiling. A vaulted ceiling meaning a large open space roof rather than having trusses. There's an example of the same manufacturer. Before the panels go on, you can see in this room you've got a combed ceiling, meaning a sloping part of the roof. Manufacturer again, but this is just on an exhibition stand, and you can see inside there it's got lots of space. Another example, this has got a Belfast truss design. This is capable of spanning up to 30 linear meters clear span comfortably. It's a very, very attractive style, and you can perhaps have these trusses 2 or 3 metres apart. So it can be quite an attractive way of doing it, especially using homegrown timber as we are. Now, other options, we've got a girder truss design. We've got tensile steel rods and compression members here. It's a rather lovely design. Or we've got a bowstring truss, very similar to what we saw originally, but it is quite attractive, I suppose. More elaborate designs that you would use, that you can use. Now, on that note, I want to say thank you very much for listening.